Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Samasta Jana Kalyani Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Om Satchidananda Rupaya Vishvotpatyadi Hetave Tapatraya Vinashaya Shri Krishnaya Vayam Namaha. Hari Om. Salutations to all. So we are on the fifth canto, fifth discourse, and we are seeing here Rishabhdev ji's advice to his sons, and he gives the purpose of human life and makes it clear that one should not give up, meaning one should not just spend this human life in pursuit of sense enjoyments. The purpose of human life is to know the truth, to know the self. And many points he gave. We had stopped at verse number 18, where it was said that a guru is not a guru, a relation is not a relation, a father is not a father, a mother is not a mother, a deity is not a deity, nor is a husband who is unable to redeem his pupil, relation, son, votary, or wife fallen into transmigration. Meaning, if one is not putting the efforts to come out of the cycle of birth and death and helping others to come out, then one is not actually doing the duty. Generally, this doesn't even strike us that this is our duty. So clearly it is said, the duty of the guru is the duty of the parent, is the duty of the devata, the husband, spouse, is to help the other person to come out of the cycle of birth and death. Here one creates obstacles only so many times. One doesn't allow them to go into spiritual study or sadhana or camps and many of that. Now, continuing this further, he says that this form that he has taken, Bhagwan Vishnu himself is manifesting as Rishabhdev ji. So he says that this human semblance of mine, idam shariram mama durvibhavyam sattvam hime hridayam yatra dharmaha. So, and it cannot be very easily understood. Sattva is my heart, where resides dharma. And unrighteousness has been left far behind by me. Prishthe krito me yada dharma arad atohi mam rishabham prahuraryaha. Hence he is called Rishabha. Rishabha means the best. Who is the best? Somebody who is following dharma, has left adharma, and the best as far as human is concerned is one who lives maximum time in sattva guna. And that is what he says. And the purpose of that is to ultimately be one with the Lord, to experience the knowledge of the self. So Rishabha means that. So one meaning of Rishabha is a bull, other meaning of Rishabha is the best. So in the Gita, when Bhagwan says Bharat Rshabha, so Bharat Rshabha means, literally if we translate, it will mean a bull amongst the Bharatas. But it means the best amongst the Bharatas, the people who are coming in the lineage of Bharat Raja. The best amongst them is called Bharat Rshabha. So here he says, this is why I am called Rishabha. He says that you are sprung from my heart, which is made from pure sattva, and therefore you also abandon your mind. Abandon these things from your mind, envy and all the impurities, and you worship your brother Bharata. who is a very noble soul, and understand that service that you offer to him is equal to service you are offering to me and all the praja also. See, 100 children are there. Imagine the power tussle that can be there to sit on the throne. And it is not that Bharat Raja is not capable. Bharat as a person is not capable of being a king. He is very, very well qualified. We will see his life also. But the father has given this instruction clearly, and the children also follow and they obey. They are not fighting. So finally, you will see Rishabhdev ji makes Bharat as the king and he departs. And Bharat also rules very gloriously. That's why our country is named Bharat behind him. So father makes it very clear that you worship him, you serve him, and service that you render to him will be equal to service that you render to me and to the praja. Then he says, he gives a whole hierarchy. Now, why does he give this hierarchy? So we have to understand here that this hierarchy is to understand the importance of, one is human life, other is who will help us to come out of this cycle of birth and death, because that was said as the purpose of human life in the beginning. The first point he made was that. So who will help? Of course, Bhagwan will help, but then there is the importance of the Brahmanas, which comes here now. So he gives this whole list now. List in the sense is a hierarchy now. So he says that the mobile creatures are higher than plants, which in their turn are the best amongst other created beings, such as minerals and stones. So minerals, stones, greater than them are the plants. Then there are other beasts, the animals and birds. Then there are human beings. Then the Pramathas. Pramathaganas are those who are attendants of Bhagwan Shiva. So they are greater than the human beings. Then higher than these Pramathaganas are Gandharvas, Siddhas. Then higher still than them are Kinnaras. Then Asuras. Then Devatas. In them, Indra is their king, their superior one, is Indra. And still higher than Indra are sons of Brahma, the Prajapati, Daksha and all of them. Then Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is also in one Srishtikram, he is created by Brahmaji. So Brahmaji is greater than Lord Shiva. So higher than this Prajapati is Lord Shiva, higher than Lord Shiva is Brahmaji. And he says, I am superior to Brahma. Because Brahmaji himself is come from the Nabhi of Mahavishnu. And now he says that Brahmanas are worthy of adoration even to me. Look at the status. The Supreme Lord, he says that Brahmanas are worshipful even by me. Please remember, this is not the Brahmanas who are just born Brahmanas, who are having those qualities. So those qualities come now. He says that he does not place, Bhagwan says he does not place any being on par with the Brahmanas. What other creature then can I regard as higher than they? I eat my fill, the food offered to them by men in liberal quantities with reverence. Not so much the oblations food. Meaning the ahuti is offered in the yajna, Bhagwan, it goes to the Lord. Agni Devta carries it to Bhagwan. And also, of course, depends on with what intention the yajman is doing the havan or the yajna. But it goes to the Lord. And so in that sense, it is said Agni is the mouth of the Lord. Whatever we offer in the Agni, consumed by the Lord. But he says that feeding the Brahmanas is more beneficial than even this fire, the yajna. Now, he says it is by the Brahmana that my glorious and eternal body in the form of the Vedas has been maintained on the earth. Now, that is the main reason. See, it's not that somebody just born as a Brahmana can claim that I am the supreme and Bhagwan has said this in Bhagavatam, so feed me, take care of me, do everything for me. Brahmana is never demanding. If there is somebody who is a demanding Brahmana, that person is not a Brahmana. The qualities will come now, you see. Why the Brahmanas are considered supreme? Because they do the subtlest work to protect dharma, to preserve dharma. And even today, see, there is no doubt that there may be in some situations where Brahmanas may have exploited also, and they have specifically denied people the knowledge of the Vedas, etc. That is a human ego problem, which has happened in every Varna. Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, all of them have done it. And we have to understand that they have also sacrificed a lot for protecting our temples, our murtis, our scriptures. How many of them have given up their lives when the invaders have attacked? Those things are not seen very clearly by people. So they will go against the Brahmanas, this anti-Brahmanism movement, and Brahmanism is a very exploitative kind of a mindset. And if anybody wears a janeau, they will start accusing, saying this person being a casteist. All that is born out of immaturity and ignorance. There is no question of exploitation being encouraged under the Varna Vyavastha. If anywhere it has happened, that itself is condemned by the scripture. But to say that Brahmanas, they are the cause of the degradation of the culture because they did not allow people to gain the knowledge. One section of Brahmanas may have done it. There is a lot of others who have protected it. Because of them, whatever little is available today is available to us. And again, I am saying it is nothing to do with Brahmanas who are just born as Brahmanas. Qualities are important. That is what our culture has always emphasized on. Varna Vyavastha. Varna means color. So Brahmana is by color of the mind, not obviously color of the skin, and it is not by the birth itself. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. In that, Brahmana is the one who has maximum Sattva Guna, which is what now you see here. Rishabhdev ji, he is a Kshatriya, born in a Kshatriya family, but his temperament is of a Brahmana when he says, I am pure Sattva Guna unmixed with Rajas and Tamas. And of course, he is Bhagwan himself who has come in this form. That's a different matter. But the point to understand here is this, that this is the reason why Bhagwan says that I adore the Brahmanas. They are worshipful even by me because they maintain on the earth the Dharma Vyavastha. The very Vedas come into the comprehensive capabilities is because of Rishis, Brahmanas, to whom it is revealed, and then they pass it on to the people and they help them to live a dharmic way of life, conduct the rituals, study, education, sharing, all that the Brahmana will do. And so he says here that it is in him that the most sanctifying quality of sattva, control of the mind and senses, truthfulness, compassion, asceticism, endurance, and wisdom are found. 7 qualities. That person is called a Brahmana. See, Bhagwan makes it so clear. He is not somebody who is just born in the Brahmana Kula. That is one criteria, no doubt, because if karma is there, then only one will be born there. But more important is not the birth alone. It is the quality of a Brahmana. And that's why he gives all these. Shamo. So Sattvam Paramam Pavitram, 24th shloka says, Sattvam Paramam Pavitram. They are abiding in Sattva Guna. Sattva Guna quality is contentment, peace, knowledge, titiksha, forbearance, these are all qualities of sattva guna. So sattvam paramam pavitram. Shamo, mind control, damaha, sense control, satyam, honesty, anugrahascha. Anugraha means to share this knowledge with maximum people and empower their minds and their lives. Anugraha. Tapaha, they have to live in austerity, not in comfort and luxuries. Tapaha. Titiksha, bear the pairs of opposite. So what is the difference between tapa and titiksha? Tapa is taken up voluntary. Titiksha is where I don't have a choice. Life brings something. So titiksha, suppose in bhiksha I get any food. Whatever one gets, one has to deal with it. That is titiksha. If one chooses to do upvas, that is called tapas because that is voluntary. Titiksha is there is no choice. What has come, I learn to accept it. Obviously, it has to be dharmic. If something adharmic is happening, I'm not going to accept that. So that goes without saying. So tapa and titiksha, like cold, heat, one has to bear with it. You know, a Brahmana will even bear praise and insult and will be equanimous in both. That is called titiksha. Tapa is, suppose we say every day for this 1 month of Shravan, or let us say for this 10 days of the Ganesh Utsav. Now I will do fasting, or I will chant 1 mala of japa, or I will wake up early morning every day 5 o'clock. Now that is tapasya. So Brahmana has to do both tapasya, titiksha, and that's why Brahmana cannot be a demanding person because whatever life brings, one has to accept. As per the scripture, what is required to worship the Lord, to do the yajna, to do the ritual, there one insists because that's the ritual requirement. But otherwise, one does not insist for oneself, one's own dakshina, one's own whatever has to be given. Brahmana lives in simplicity, lives in austerity, lives in titiksha. Titiksha, anubhavascha yatra, and the experience also they must have of the sadhana and then realization, obviously. So now, such Brahmanas who are rich in devotion to me, though destitute of worldly possessions, that is another quality that they have. What is that? That they don't accumulate, they spend more time in worship of the Lord. Such Brahmanas, Bhagwan says, they have nothing to seek even from me. What more to talk about other people? The Lord who is possessed of infinite power, talk about any other being, then what can they have to do with anything else? Such Brahmanas Bhagwan values. He says they are worshipful by me because they have become desireless. That is Brahmanatvam. When the mind has become desireless, full of vairagya, full of bhakti, interested and committed only to self-knowledge, that is Brahmanatvam. And finally, as a result of that, when one realizes that self, Brahma janati iti Brahmana, one who revels in Brahman is Brahmana. From that standpoint, Brahmanas are very few. Majority don't know Brahman. So, in the scriptures, very clearly, when it is said that Brahmanas are revered by the Lord, feeding the Brahmanas is greater punya, and Bhagwan is pleased more by that than by even the yajnas which are done. See, some people say that, oh, this is all written by the Brahmanas, so Brahmanas have added all this. Then they could have added by birth, no? Why did they add any of this? First of all, point one. Point two, who wrote these Puranas? Now, the Puranas are written by Bhagwan Vedavyasji. He was the son of a fisherwoman and Parashar Rishi. And what he has written is in line with what is revealed in the Vedas. And he has written for the welfare of the entire humanity. It is not meant only for Brahmanas to get emancipated. Maximum stories are of the kings. And who is narrating this Bhagavatam to whom? Shukdev ji is Avadhut. He is relating that to Parikshit Raja. Where have Brahmanas come into this? Some places it is said, the reason why it is said, we should remember that if Brahmanas are not there, study of Vedas will not happen, Dharma one is not able to follow properly, how will one realize Brahman and how will one come out of the cycle of birth and death? So if the scripture says, and if here Rishabhdev ji says that the goal of life is to know the truth, then the means also has to be told, no? Otherwise, how will one realize the truth? And last point, if the Brahmanatva is not there, the qualities of this Brahmana are not there, realization is not possible at all. So nobody has to become a Brahmana by birth to come to realize the truth, but everybody has to become a Brahmana by temperament to know the truth, which means purest level of Sattva Guna unmixed with Rajas and Tamas, and all these qualities which are given here. And so it is mentioned here. Then he says, immediately after saying about Brahmanas, so that people understand that, okay, this is the means, or they have protected the Vedas and study of the Vedas is the means to realize the truth. After saying that and glorifying the qualities of a Brahmana, immediately Bhagwan, what does he say? Sarvani mad dhishnataya bhavadbhihi charani bhutani sutadhruvani sambhavitavyani pade padevo vivikta dragbhir taduharhanam me. He says, with a pure mind, all living beings, mobile as well as immobile, meaning animate and inanimate things, all ought to be respected by you at every step. Why? They all are my abodes. So having glorified the qualities of Brahmana, it is not that others have to be looked down upon. Who is a Brahmana? Who will see the same truth in the hearts of all? That person is really a Brahmana. If somebody says, I am the supreme and Vedas are saying, the Puranas are saying, so worship me, bow down to me, give me laddus, give me peda, give me this, give me that. That is not what the Shastra is saying here. When people respect anyone, they have to respect them back. In fact, Brahmana will respect them even if they don't respect the Brahmana. That's the quality of Brahmana. And here he is saying to his children that you should respect everybody as my abode, meaning I am living in the hearts of all the beings. That alone will be my true worship at your hands. Jan Seva is Janardhan Seva, Nar Seva is Narayan Seva, Madhav Seva is Manav Seva, Manav Seva is Madhav Seva. So, my propitiation is the only reward of the activities of the mind, tongue, eyes and the other indriyas. Without propitiating me, a man cannot hope to escape from the noose of death. One has to serve Bhagwan. Vina puman yena mahavimohat kritanta pashanna vimoktum ishet. This is the means direct. Now Shukdev ji further continues that having given this knowledge, so he started with the goal. He concluded with the means. This is the means to realize this goal of life. What? Worship Bhagwan wholeheartedly, with your eyes, with your mind, with your senses, with your intellect, with your actions. Worship Bhagwan. Now, having given this knowledge and given good guidance to all of them, what did he do? He installed Bharat on the throne, crowned him as the king. Who is this Bharat? He himself is a great devotee of Bhagwan. See the description of Bharat Raja. So beautiful it is now. He says here that this is in prose after verse 27. Shukdeva Uvacha, it is there. Parama Bhagavatam Bhagavad Jana Parayanam Bharatam is a Parama Bhagavata, supreme devotee of Bhagwan. And Bhagavad Jana Parayanam, who is a servant of the devotees of the Lord. That Bharat, Dharani Palanaya Abhishitya, for protection of this earth, Rishabhdev ji coronated him. And so, having coronated him, what did he do? He renounced. So, Parama Suhrad Bhagwan Rishabhapadesha Upashama Shilanam Uparata Karmanam Mahamuninam Bhakti Jnana Vairagya Lakshanam Paramahamsya Dharmam Upashikshamanaha. He took up the dharma of a Paramahamsa as a wandering recluse, not staying in a place for a long time and living like a avadhut who has no means of livelihood, is not earning, depends fully on Bhagwan. Whatever one gets, one will live with that. Mind is absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord. So he says here this, that Rishabhdev, he did this. Characterized by devotion, realization, aversion for the pleasure of the senses, and followed by the great ascetics given to self-control, retired himself from the worldly activities. He renounced even at home everything except his body. See, so he is still at home as of now, then he will leave. But while living at home itself, he is living like an avadhut. And he says here that having absorbed all the sacrificial fires into himself, took up the life of a recluse. Now, what is the meaning of absorb sacrificial fire in himself? So this is our tradition, where the Janev Samskar, when it is done, a person starts chanting the Gayatri Mantra, then one studies the Veda. And when one gets into the Grahastha Ashram, then one has to do the Yajnas. Panchamaha Yajnas one has to do every day. And if one is traveling, one reposes the Agni into one's heart. And when one comes back, suppose if one is able to carry, so some people will actually carry the fire also with them, and wherever they go, they will light, they will do the Agni Karma, they will do the rites, rituals, everything, offer the ahutis to devatas. Continuously they will do this. Every day the Grihastha has to do. If they are not able to do for some reason, they will, install the Agni in their heart, repose the Agni back into their heart. And when they come back, they will again initiate the Agni, invoke it in the wood and the fire there, through the fire there, and they will continue their ahutis. This a grahastha has to do continuously. Then when one takes sannyas or one becomes like this, that Agni is re-established back into the heart. After that, one does not have to do rituals. Then the duty of that sannyasi or that paramahamsa is only to remember the self, contemplate on the self. So here, that's what he does. He reposes the Agni back into himself, and he takes the life of a recluse departed from Brahmavarta as if mad, with disheveled hair, having no covering on his body, meaning he became Digambara, completely naked, no, uh, cloth, no attachments, left the house, hair is all loose, behaving like a stupid, blind, dumb, deaf madman, or even like a goblin. He put on the appearance of one who had lost all sense of body, took up the vow of silence, remained mute even when accosted by the people. Why did he have to do this? This is the life of an avadut. So, first part of his life, Rishabhdev ji showed how to live as a king, how to do the duties, what should be the way you bring up the children, what kind of advice one should give to children, everything he showed. Pravritti Marg. Second half is Nivritti Marg, how to live as a recluse. So he gives that Upadesh. Through his living, that is the message he is trying to convey. This is complete absorption of the mind in Bhagwan, that one doesn't bother. Body will be taken care of by its prarabdha, or Bhagwan himself is there to take care of the body. One is not bothered. One is, see, this is not a person who is what we call lazy, escapist, uh, somebody who has run away from one's duties. He has done all the duties and happily handed over the kingdom to Bharat Raja, who is eligible, very fit person, and he left. Why he left? Because the goal, what he spoke about, is what he wants to demonstrate to people. So it's not some empty talk. The mind has to be absorbed in Bhagwan. When he ended that discourse, he said that with all the faculties, you have to worship me. That is the only means. He is showing that. So he also behaves like a stupid, blind, dumb man, and etc. means what? That he is not bothered about now trying to please people or trying to get their approval, their validation, or anything, or even build an organization, a spiritual organization, nothing. He doesn't want anybody to disturb his mind from being absorbed in the Lord. So he doesn't act like a wise person. And those days there was no photograph and all that. So people don't know that he is the king himself. The king who has ruled them so gloriously for so many years. Is that now that king is wandering as a Digambara, but people think of him as a madman, stupid man, blind person, or because what it means is sensory inputs he is not craving after. Mind also is not bothered about what the society will go through or what is it going through, what should I do. All that he has done as a king, and his son will take it further. Now it is that his time is exclusively dedicated to know the truth. So even when people are accusing him or they are ill-treating him, he is not bothered. Also, that shows the high level of vairagya that he has. So in towns, villages, mines, hamlets, flower gardens, habitations at the foot of hills, military encampments, cow pens, in hutments of cowherds, in the midst of caravans, in mountains, forests, hermitages, other places, wherever he happened to be, he lived absorbing his mind in the Lord. He was insulted on every road, even as a wild elephant is assailed by beasts. Some of them even bet him. Some of them passed urine on him, spat on him, threw stones and dust, even fecal matter on him, farted on his face, showered abuses on him. But he ignored all this. Why? Because he looked upon all of them as his own self. See that? He never looked upon, in as much as he never looked upon as his own self or even his own, this illusory habitat in the shape of a body. So one is he seeing all ourself. They are not the bodies. Why is he able to see? Because he sees himself also as that self and not as the body. And this illusory habitat in the shape of a body is called as real by us. And of course, the individuality is strong in us, then we will not accept this behavior. Now, please remember, this is a person who has such deep levels of vairagya, who has come to realize the illusoriness of the world. This is not to say that anybody can do anything with us and we should just keep quiet. If we are at that level of high levels of sattva guna and our only purpose is I want to know the truth and drop this individuality, then this type of a sadhana can be done, where one doesn't react at all. See, that is, you will see now one term comes for it. So he roamed about all alone with undivided, undistracted mind. That is the key. He wandered like this on the earth, absorbing his mind only in the truth. Now his form is described, though, see, he is not bothered about his body and he has dropped his body identification. The individuality also is gone. Hence, he is not reacting if somebody even is insulting him or spitting on him. Individuality is destroyed. But you see, his form is so glorious even in this state that is described now, you see. Appearing in a charming form with very soft hands and feet and chest, long and rounded arms, shoulders and neck, an attractive face and other limbs, all symmetrically disposed, and a lovely mouth lit up with a spontaneous and naturally captivating smile. He appeared all the more lovely with his reddish and large, refreshing eyes resembling the petals of a lotus, fresh blown lotus. His cheeks, ears, neck, nostrils were not only beautiful but uniformly shaped. By the extraordinary gracefulness of his face, adorned with an enigmatic smile, he kindled love in the hearts of women of the city. And with the curly yet matted and auburn luxuriant hair flowing over his face, as well as with his uncared for and unclean body, he looked like one possessed by a demon. Externally he looks like that, but his limbs are all very proportionate and all that. That's the power of yoga. That's the siddhi, that's the sadhana he has done. And people will be tempted, some of them, opposite gender is tempted looking at him. But obviously his mind is not interested in any of that and he is absorbed in the divine, he himself is divine. But he also saw that this world does not spare anybody. They keep disturbing. So he finds that they are opposed to his practice of yoga. And to counteract such opposition, they won't allow him to practice yoga. They think he's a madman. All this, or somebody will be very fascinated. They approach him. So all that will disturb. So what does he do? He took up what is called ajagara vritti, the mode of a python. What is the meaning of that? So he remains only in one place, to remain fixed in one place and to let the prarabdha karma exhaust itself. He will not go out anywhere. So for some time he lived like in ajagara vritti, where he ate, drank, chewed up, passed urine, stool, lying down, rolling in the feces till his all limbs were thoroughly daubed with it. He rolls in his own urine and fecal matter, but will not move from there. Will stay there only. One may say, what disgusting is this? But do you know this? The powers of Yoga Shastra are like that. Yoga Shastra meaning the description is given in Yoga Shastra, but it's a power that comes to the yogis. One was his physical appearance itself is so divine, was already explained. Even though he is an avadhut, Externally, there are certain things. If one looks at him superficially, he will look like a madman. But if one looks carefully, one will understand that he is a divine person, he is not ordinary. See, Yoga Shastra, when we practice various things given there are different siddhis also one will get. One of the earliest signs of progress in yoga is that the voice will become deeper, one will get more musical sense, one will start listening to many sounds which are generally not audible. If the Kundalini comes here to Vishuddhi Chakra, one can understand the language of all the creatures in this world. So like that, different siddhis are there. One of them is this, that even the waste product ejected out of the body will be only creating fragrance. It will not be stinking. The body of the person itself will emit fragrance. They don't have to apply any whatever deodorant and perfume and all that. Nothing. Their body by itself will emit a natural pure fragrance. Here it is said the fecal matter. The wind perfumed by the fragrance of his excrement indeed surcharged with sweet smell the whole area within a radius of 80 miles. See that. So living the life of a bull, deer or crow, he behaved just like a bull, deer or crow and ate, drank, passed urine while moving about, standing, sitting or lying down. Thus adopting various modes of life helpful to the practice of yoga. Why did he do this? In order to set an example before yogis striving to surmount obstacles in the way of their practice of yoga. He did it for the example. That's why I said first he set example for pravritti marg, for the kings and for the householders. Now he sets the example for the nivritti margis. That what should a yogi do? How should a yogi live? Completely ignorant, completely not bothered about how the society treats it. In fact, do things which will ensure that society doesn't come anywhere near him. At some stage in life, one may need that type of a undivided attention, undivided absorption of the mind in sadhana. So he does that. He sets all these examples for the yogis and how they should overcome the obstacles. His mind is reveling in obviously the highest bliss alone. He has attained all the objects of human pursuit and there is no veil between him and the Lord. He has realized the Atma Gyan has already happened, the causal body, ignorance destroyed, the identification with subtle body also gone. So obviously identification with the gross body also is not there. Such a great master, he did not accept even any siddhis that came to him. So many siddhis waiting to be used by him. They offer themselves to him. So he did not welcome at heart the extraordinary powers of yoga that actually came to him unsolicited. What are these powers? Ability to traverse the air. See, if you see in this Vaihaya Samanojavantardhana. Antardhana is to disappear, to appear, disappear. Parakaya Pravesha, to enter the body of another living being. Then Dura Grahanadini, the ability to see things which are very far away. This is one of the ways by which the yogis came to know the so many secrets of the universe sitting where they are. They didn't have any specific rockets and this and that to land up in various planets, but sitting where they are, they could decide and explain so many things about the universe. Brahmagupta and many of them. That is the scientific explanation they give of the diameter of the earth and the distance between earth and the sun, and so many jiva, so many mahatmas, they even go with their subtle body, do astral travel, and they may even reach some of the various planets and comets and whatnot. All those are siddhis, yogic siddhis which are there. They have their own relevance, but the point is Atmajnana is greater than all. So he is reveling in that bliss. He doesn't even use the siddhis, doesn't bother about them at all. Acquiring swiftness of thought, power of remaining invisible, entering a dead body, faculty of seeing distant objects, hearing distant sounds, and so on. So many of these qualities which come to a person, siddhis, he said not interested. So that is where the fifth discourse ends. Now we go into the sixth one. And what happens here? Rishabhdev ji, his abidance in the self is very firm, very clear. So Parikshit Raja asks that why did he not use these siddhis? So the question here is this: those who revel in the self and have burnt up the seeds of future actions through the fire of wisdom, strengthened by the practice of yoga, these yogic powers coming unsolicited cannot again prove to be a source of evil. Why did the Lord not accept it then? Because it won't bind them, because he's already reveling in the self. For a sadhak, it is very important to not fall for the siddhis till one comes to know the truth. And after one comes to know the truth, one will not want to use the siddhis. For what joy? Anyway, everything is considered an illusion, and one has woken up to the self, and Brahman alone is. Then why will one use a siddhi? But Parikshit Raja has that question that a seeker may try to do this, that one becomes alert, cautious, one doesn't want to fall for the siddhis because one has to know the truth, which is far greater than siddhis. Siddhis are in the realm of illusion. Truth is beyond the realm of illusion. And one is aspiring for that. However great a siddhi can be, it is still temporary. It is still going to make me feel limited and bound. So a seeker who has thought through this will say, I'm not interested in this siddhis. But what about Siddha Purushas? They already realize the truth. Then why is he not using these siddhis? So now Shukdev ji replies. He says, what you have observed is true, but there are some discreet men in this world who would never feel quite confident about their fickle mind any more than a clever hunter would about a deer trapped by him. This is the alertness that one requires. Because see, their life is an example for so many others. They may be reveling in the self, and so they may use the siddhis, and siddhis will not trap them at all, because they are anyway free from the root cause of bondage, which is ignorance. But looking at them, others who are not yet in that state, they may start using the siddhis, and it will unnecessarily be harmful to them, or their evolution in some way gets like the speed breaker has come in between. They were going with a great speed towards the goal. Now one speed breaker has come, or one distraction has come, one has gone in some other direction. So to set that example, Shukdev ji says that even realized people, they set this example that mind is so fickle that it can just change any minute. One has to remain extremely cautious and alert. This is not pessimism, or this is not some kind of where we have, it's like being some simpleton who does not know how to use some powers, or who does not know the value of these powers. It is not like that. One knows the importance of these powers, but one values the knowledge of the self much more. And so one will not entertain these siddhis because the mind can fall anytime. And so here he says, see, very beautiful shloka comes in the 6th chapter here. In the 3rd shloka he says, Nakuryat karhi chit sakhyam manasi hyanavasthite yadvishrambhat chirani yadvit yadvishrambhat chirachirnam chaskandatapa aishwaram. The mind, one should never make friends with the mind which is inconstant, asakhyam, anavasthite manasi. Mind which is very fickle, one should not rely on that mind, because as a result of confidence placed in it, the austere vow of chastity maintained for a long period, even of Lord Shiva, was broken, and other stalwarts like the celebrated sage Saubhari, that will come further. Both these prasangs will come further in the 8th and the 9th canto. Meaning the mind of a yogi who has made friends with it is ever alert to fling the gates open to lust and other enemies such as anger, etc. that follow him. Even as a faithless wife would allow her paramours to enter her husband's house and murder him. That's a powerful analogy given. It can apply to husband also who has an extramarital affair. So here the point is that if the yogi gives little bit of room for this mind to engage in the siddhis, this mind will pull sabotage. The entire seeking will get sabotaged. So to make the seekers alert, Rishabhdev ji doesn't use any of the powers, and nor has he any personal desire. It's not that he has some desire that he wants to use these powers, but for the sake of the world and the society to set a standard, he did not use it. He himself does not have value for it. For a person who has outgrown childhood toys, the childhood toys will not tempt at all. Same way Siddhis are childhood toys for this great Mahatma. So that is his individual evolution. But by not falling for it or using these Siddhis, he has set an example even for others, that please be alert and don't give in to this mind's temptation, because then slowly all the other impurities will come. Siddhis come when there is mantra shakti and when there is purity of mind. But those siddhis itself, when they come, they can make the mind more impure, more egoistic, more jealous, more unhappy in some way, because after a point the siddhis also, one will want more and more better siddhis. There is no end to that. So the idea here is this: value Brahmagyan maximum. So Shukdev ji said that's the reason why he did not take up this siddhis. What wise man would admit the trustworthiness of the mind, which is the root of lust, anger, vanity, greed, sorrow, infatuation, fear, and other evils which bind a man to his actions? Meaning one will not take this mind for granted ever. So he is Lord Rshabhdev is the very ornament of the protectors of the world. Meaning of all the great devatas, he is the supreme who has come. And yet his divine glory could not be perceived on account of his behaving as a stupid fellow, and because he has adopted the weird appearance, speech and conduct to one who has renounced all worldly attachments and connections. So people do not recognize his glory. The common folk, or yogis will definitely know, seekers, sadhaks will also know. Now, to teach the yogis the process of giving up the body, he thought of quitting his body and constantly viewing the Supreme Spirit. He ceased to think of his body and gave up his identification even with the subtle body. The Jiva Bhav completely gone. When he was rid of the identification of the subtle body, his visible form continued to wander all over the globe due to seeming egotism induced by Yogamaya. So how is the body functioning then? Some past karma is one reason given. Here it is said because of Yoga Maya. Yoga Maya wants that body to live and certain things to happen through it for the sake of the world. But as far as that individual is concerned, that subtle body's identification is gone. Person has woken up to the truth. So he was wandering over the earth as guided by providence, by Yoga Maya, and he passed through all these territories of Konka, Venka, Kutaka, South Karnataka, traversed the forests of the Kutaka mountain, stark naked like a madman, with a piece of stone in his mouth. Piece of stone in the mouth, meaning so that he won't speak anything. Meanwhile, a fierce forest conflagration broke out due to the friction of the bamboos tossed about by the force of the wind, enveloping the forest on all sides, consumed the body of Rishabhdev too, along with the forest. Rishabhdevji's body dropped. In the forest fire, got burnt. So this is the glorious life of Bhagwan Rishabhdev. Many consider him as the first Tirthankar of the Jains. They may have a different version of his progress, his sadhana, etc. That is possible. This is given as per the Bhagavatam. Now, what happened here? There was a foolish king called Arhat. So on hearing about his queer ways and imitating them, and deluded by what was destined to happen, a foolish ruler of the territories of Konka, Venka and Kutaka, Arhat by name, appearing in Kali age, when righteousness will be on the rise, will actually abandon the course of his own duty and duly propagate according to his own whims an absurd, wrong and heretical creed. This Arhat will do this. Led by him, this Maya of Bhagwan, deluding Maya of Bhagwan, under that influence, many an accursed soul will fall from the standards of personal purity and good conduct enjoined upon them by scriptural ordinance, and adopting of their own free will impious vows constituting an offense against the gods, such as abstaining from bath, achaman, neglecting personal cleanliness, pulling out the hair and so on, will more often than not condemn the Veda, the Brahmanas, Lord Vishnu and his devotees, because their judgment is clouded by the Kali Yuga. And assured of their salvation by their own arbitrary mode of life, which is not supported by the Vedas and which has been indiscriminately followed, they will descend into the dark abyss of hell by their own choice. Now, Shukdev ji is saying that this creed of people will be born in this Kali Yuga, led by this Arhat, who will copy Rishabhdev ji, but they don't have any clarity. And Rishabhdev ji is a protector of the Vedas, the performer of rituals, offerings to the Devatas, devotee of Bhagwan, following dharma, all that. And he set up the example as a recluse for the yogis, great yogis and sannyasis, etc. But in Kali Yuga, his example will be taken by people for the sake of just blind indulgence. That's why he says here that they will not take bath, they will not follow this personal cleanliness, etc. And they will condemn the Veda, they will not do rituals, they will. Are we not seeing that happening? So many people will not follow the Vedas, they will not do the rituals, will not worship Bhagwan, will use the scripture to just pick out some line out of context and then say, no, all this is not required, Bhagwan is in my own heart, why should I even go to temple? And then what do? Eat, drink, be merry. That is the purpose of life. So that time Shukdev ji said, in the beginning of Kali Yuga only, at the end of Krishna Bhagwan's departure, this katha is all this is happening. So Kali Yuga has already begun. He says such people will come in Kali Yuga who will not take the example of Rishabhdev ji properly. This manifestation as Rishabhdev, the form of Bhagwan, was intended to give a lesson in art of liberating oneself. For those who are steeped in Rajoguna, how to serve the society, bring more Sattva-guna into the mind, was the Upadesh given by his life and by his teachings also to those who are kings or who are Rajasic in mind. And of course, for the sannyasis and for recluses, etc., he showed the second half of his life. So that was the purpose. Shukdev ji is clarifying that, saying, don't forget that, because people will forget this and they start behaving in the way they want licentiously and they think that is the way of spirituality. Are there not people who did that, and how many people have been misled? No rules, spirituality is to be free from all rules, and you can enjoy and do what you like, and there is nothing called right and wrong, and it is all after all divine. So enjoying sense pleasure also is a part of spirituality. There is no need of any ethics, morality, all kinds of things. And finally landed up where? Destroying lives of people into various scandals, various kinds of vulgar, lusty propensities. Enough and more examples are available. The point here is that is why the study of the scripture, anchoring in the knowledge, spiritual practices as guided by the scriptures, living in dharma, self-control, all that is important. Otherwise, the mind will easily take us for granted. So he gives contrasting picture here. That Shukdev ji says that here is Rishabhdev who lived with such great level of alertness that he didn't even entertain Siddhis, though he's a realized person, so that people don't misunderstand. And other extreme is these kind of people who will take the name of Rishabhdev ji and do anything that they want to do. He says, be very alert, because this is what the mind will do. This is the trick. Now, he continues further that this Falashruti comes now. People recite the following verses conformable to the spirit of such teachings. Of all the dvipas and varshas, meaning the divisions and the subdivisions of the earth, girt with the 7 oceans, this land is exceptionally holy, inasmuch as people of this land celebrate the blessed deeds of Lord Vishnu associated with his various descendants. So the 12th one says that. Ayam avataro rajasopa pluta kaivalyopashikshanarthaha. It is meant for liberation of people who are steeped in Rajoguna. And then this 13th shloka is all this. Aho bhuva sapta samudravatya dvipeshu varsheshvadhi punyametat gayanti yatra tyajana murarehe karmani bhadranyavataраvanti. That's the 13th one. Then he says, the race of Priyavrata is resplendent with glory. This is Priyavrata, his descendants. Now we are seeing Priyavrata and then Nabhi, Raja, and then Rishabhdev, and then his son Bharat. So it comes like that. Manu, from them Priyavrata, and that's the lineage. So the race of Priyavrata is resplendent with glory. For descending in this line, Bhagwan Narayana, the inner controller of all and the causes of all causes, observed sacred vows leading to liberation as Rishabhdev. Bhagwan Narayana came as Rishabhdev. What yogi who hankers after the mystic powers of yoga, spurned by Rishabhdev because of their illusory nature, could even mentally follow the footsteps of that birthless Lord? Such high standards Rishabhdev set. So now he says, now interesting thing is, see, in the lineage of Priyavrata, what happens? Bhagwan has come in so many forms. He took the form as Kapil Muni also, and here as Rishabhdev also. And we also find here that in this lineage, see, very nicely this description is given here that in Priyavrata's dynasty, as Rishabhdev, Bhagwan manifested. In Uttanapad, in his dynasty, Prithu Raja and Kapil, he manifested as both. In Raghu as Ramachandra, in Raghu's dynasty, Raghu will come further. In Raghu's dynasty as Ramachandra, and in Yadu as Krishna. So Bhagwan has manifested in different dynasties, taken avatar, set the right example of dharma, etc. for everybody. So this way, he says that the story of Rishabhdev, of the Lord, has been explained, Shukdev ji says. And this story, what will it do? It will wipe out all the sins of men who hear or recite it. It is the abode of highest blessings. Exclusive devotion to the aforesaid Lord is developed in the heart by him, in the heart of him who constantly listens to it, as well as of him who regularly recites it before others, with ever increasing reverence and a concentrated mind. Daily and incessantly immersing their soul, burning with the agonies of mundane existence, full of manifold sufferings, in the stream of devotion and deriving supreme solace from it, the wise devotees show no preference on any account for final beatitude. There is no reason for not striving to attain this mukti, the highest and the everlasting object of human pursuit. Even if God without asking. Now the point is, these great devotees, they will not want mukti also, some of them, because they want bhakti towards Bhagwan. That is their desire. So that's the falashruti of this portion. And finally he says here that Bhagwan Krishna himself is born in the Yadu dynasty, and he has protected Parikshit. Parikshit is he was protected in the womb by Bhagwan Krishna himself, and Bhagwan has been guiding the Pandavas throughout. So he says that Lord Krishna, oh dear Parikshit, was surely the protector, preceptor, the deity, the beloved friend, the head of the family of your grandfathers as well as of the Yadus. And sometimes your servant too, Bhagwan has served the Pandavas. He has been a Shantidut, he has served as a charioteer. He bestows now and then final beatitude on those who worship him, but he never grants boon of loving devotion to his feet. Meaning Bhagwan may give mukti also very easily, but he will not bless anybody with such bhakti so easily. Why? Because Bhagwan himself becomes the das of such a bhakta. So obeisance to the celebrated Lord Rshabhdev, who is entirely free from all cravings, rich as he is in the eternal realization of his own self, and who in his abounding compassion revealed the true nature of the self, which is immune from all fear, to men whose minds had long remained oblivious of their genuine welfare. He revealed the knowledge of the self. To all such people who were not aware of it, who were thinking of themselves as the body, Rishabhdev ji gave the knowledge, and by his very life he has demonstrated it. So that is where the sixth discourse also ends. And now we will see the life of Bharat Raja. That we will take up in October. If there are any questions, we will take it up after the Arati.
मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति धूम की, मंगल कांति हसनी दसनन की, मंगल मुरली दीना धुन की, मंगल आरती। मंगल बनिक त्रिभंगी हरि की, मंगल सेवा सब सहचर की, मंगल सिर चंद्रिका मुकुट की, मंगल छवि नयन में अत की, मंगल आरती। पभी अंग अंग की, मंगल गौर श्याम रंग की, मंगल अति कटि पियरे पट की, मंगल चितमणि नागर नट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल शोभा कमल नयन की, मंगल माधुरी मृदुल बैन की, मंगल वृंदावन मद अटकी, मंगल क्रीडन जमुना तट की, मंगल आरती। मंगल चरण अरुण तरुवन की, मंगल करणी भगति हरिजन की, मंगल जुगल प्रिया भावन की, मंगल श्री राधा जीवन की, मंगल आरती प्रिया प्रीतम की, मंगल प्रीति रीति डोल की, मंगल आरती। मंगल आरती। राधावर कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय। ओम न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चंद्र तारकम्, नेमा विद्युतो भान्ति कुतोऽयम् अग्निः, तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वं, तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की।
Okay, so October dates, they are 18 and 25. 4th and 11th we won't have. 18th and 25 will be October dates. We'll put it on the WhatsApp group also. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.